rated B, by the way.
This is your host Shalon, and as you can see, I am alone. That is because I am doing my first ever mini review of none other than the amazing, iconic Queen Charlotte. If you are familiar with Bridgerton, you already know what I'm talking about. And if you're not, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what the show is about. So obviously it's about Queen Charlotte herself. It takes place in two timelines. The first being in her younger days before she gets married to King George. Also their trials and tribulations that they go through in their early marriage years. It also takes place when she's older, the age that you see in the Bridgerton series. And it also shows her trying to get her 13 children. She had 15 originally, but trying to get her 13 children to have a baby so they can have an heir. Also, it chronicles Lady Danbury and Violet Bridgerton in their younger days as well too. So let's get right into it. First of all, let me just say, hands down, this is my favorite Bridgerton show ever. The first season with Simon and Daphne, I enjoyed it. I just wasn't in love with it. Second season, I have to say, is probably my least favorite. Still loved it. I felt like there was just something that I wasn't connecting with per se, with the characters. But this one, I felt everything I needed to feel. Let me just say, the chemistry between India and Corey, the actress and actor who played Queen Charlotte and King George in their younger days. Oh my God. Amazing chemistry. I live for great chemistry. I feel like it makes romance between two characters all the more real. Normally when you have shows, like, it's a hit or miss with the casting. This was absolutely brilliant casting. I thought it was so great how they managed to get younger actors and actresses that not only favor the older actresses and actors, but they also embody their mannerisms and their personalities amazingly. I mean, the actress who plays a younger Lady Danbury, also love how they did Reynolds and Brimsley's love story. I thought that it was beautifully done and bittersweet as well too. Now, spoiler alert, and I hope you guys watched the show in its entirety. There's a certain scene, Reynolds and Brimsley are dancing at the ball, and it cuts to Brimsley dancing by himself. And me being a viewer myself and everyone else, millions of other viewers, were like, oh my God, is Reynolds dead? And what happened to Reynolds? Oh my God, it's so sad. Miss Shonda Rhimes herself confirmed that Reynolds is not dead. He's actually still working besides the king. So that's great. So for whatever reason, they just couldn't be together, which is still sad. But I am relieved to know that Reynolds is still alive and well. Just seeing Reynolds and Brimsley care for the king and the queen, and how they had their back and forth, and how you can see how much they loved these two powerful rulers, and the extent and the efforts they went through to protect them and to keep them safe and to try to help make this marriage work. And that's what I loved. It was such, it felt like a collective effort on both parts. Lady Danbury. I love that we got so much of a backstory on this woman who we always see in a certain light in the, I guess you could say, the actual Bridgerton series, because this is a Bridgerton story, so it's kind of different. But I love that we got to see more in depth the things that she had to go through. I mean, Lord Danbury was um Lord Danbury was a hot mess. I was gonna say. Anyways, he's like dismissive of her. The crazy thing about it is she was so nurturing and love. You could tell like there was love there, at least on her end. And of course, I think a lot of that had to do to the grooming and also that him being all she knew. But even in his moments of sadness, she would always try to uplift him and encourage him, which I thought was very noble of her. But he would just be like super dismissive of her, just like ugly sometimes. He ends up dying in the midst of them having sex, which is hilarious. I may be wrong for saying that, but it's a show. It was hilarious. So, you know, she's happy. He's dead. She feels free. He's gone. Come to find out, they don't have any money. He exaggerated his wealth, and also he spent crazy money trying to keep up with being this lord. And the reason why he became a lord was because when Queen Charlotte got married to the king, King George, they thought that to keep people at bay and to not cause such a stir just in case this fails. So they made Lord Danbury a lord, and of course Lady Danbury becomes a lady. So when he died, some of the black lords and ladies came to her and was like, so what now? Because your husband's the first of us to die, so if he's dead, what happens to our titles? You know, do we get the same rights as the whites do? Or this is just it, you know what I'm saying? Like, because normally you would think that the titles would pass to their kids, and they had a son, their oldest son, and he would become Lord Danbury. But because they didn't really know where they stood, like, do the rules apply to us, they were looking at her like, oh, you need to go figure something out. You cool with the queen, I need you on her court. By the end of the show, Queen Charlotte is like, hey, come to me and my man and we got you, girl. Like, whatever you need, we got you. Don't be afraid to come in and talk to us. But Lady Danbury was really on some, you had so much stuff going on, I didn't want to add and bring up my problems, which I get. Then that's not even the main stuff. That's some, you know, it's the main stuff, but Lady Danbury started a romance with Violet Bridgerton's father. And he had her garden in bloom, which was, I was shocked to see that. But you can kind of feel like he was already on some, like, I want to be your friend at the first ball that, you know, her and Lord Danbury through. And I was happy for her because she told Queen Charlotte that she never enjoyed sex. So the fact that she was able to get hers, I was happy. I was like, yes, girl, get yours, get yours. However, I'm mad that Lord Bridgerton did my, I'm sorry, not Lord Bridgerton, Lord Ledger. I'm mad that he kind of did her like that because he definitely was on some pursuing type shit. And but I get it. I think he was just like, I don't want to ruin your reputation. Like, they were kind of speaking in code because he showed up at the shed after they had sex. They were supposed to meet, and Violet was with him, and I was like, oh no, he didn't. But I think Violet just popped up, so I don't think he purposely brought Violet with him. But the way he was talking to Lady Danbury was, I want your reputation, I don't want your reputation to be ruined. So let's stop now while no one knows. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, back then, ooh, child, like, if people had to find out, she would have been ruined. Prince Adolphus and Lady Danbury was like, I can't marry you. Because I was kind of like, I don't know. It's like, you were kind of a dick to Charlotte. How do I not know you gonna treat Lady Danbury like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I don't know if I feel safe with my girl going to Germany. She'll be well off, but I don't know. But I think the thing that turned her off was when he was like, I went, I need an heir, so I need like 2, 3 kids. And she was just like, oh no, I can't do that. Can't do that. I mean, she's been with Lord Danbury all of her life. That's all she knows. She doesn't want to enter another marriage where she's pretty much being told what to do. And then she has to pop out more babies. You have to think, back in that time, childbirth was on another level. Like, so I don't blame her. And I think he was about to cry too. I'm not sure. But yeah, she turned him down. And I'm like, kudos for you, girl. So she never remarried. The thing I'm curious about, I'm wondering if she had other lovers. I'm wondering if her and Lord Ledger continued on or if it was just that one time. Then on top of that last thing, Violet Bridgerton finds out that Lady Danbury was screwing her dad, because her dad likes to make birthday hats, and I don't know why Lady Danbury brought out the birthday hat and set it on top of her fireplace, but Violet saw it. She came over for a walk, and how they did it, I wish that, now I wish they would have went about this in a different way, because it wasn't like, I feel like it kind of left it up to us to kind of read what they were saying, but they weren't saying it. And I was hoping for more dialogue, but I'm guessing, I'm pretty sure that Violet got her confirmation. Like, Lady Danbury pretty much told her, like, yeah, I slept with your dad. And I think Violet was just like upset at first, but then she was just like, if my father was, was able to help with her garden being bloomed, and I think I can live with that. And I feel like that was what was said but wasn't said. So then that was the end of it. How they go on from here, I don't know, because this happened when they were older. So I don't know. But let's get to the part that I want to talk about. Queen Charlotte and King George, love them, absolutely love them. I love them in real life too, the younger actor and actresses. I love Golda too, who plays the older Queen Charlotte respectively. I thought it was just so beautiful. I don't think I've ever felt chemistry like this since Olivia Pope and Fitzgerald Grant. Because I thought they had the most amazing chemistry, and the thing that Sean is gonna do is put actors together who got chemistry, honey. It was so good. I loved how they tackled King George's mental illness. I loved how they showed Charlotte being compassionate and nurturing, and even though initially she was pissed, as she should have been, because it's like, y'all just sign me over to this man. You guys know how he is mentally, and you don't even say nothing to me about it. You just let me find out, which essentially his mom was like, I'm sorry. Forgive me for allowing you to just find out on your own. I was trying to look for someone that could handle him and deal with this and blah, 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 blah. And Charlotte was just like, bro, no one told me. Everyone failed me. Everyone failed me. I like that even after the fact, she didn't give up on him. She still fought. She was like, I'm here for you. You're not alone. And I thought that was such a beautiful display of love. And the scene where they're in the observatory and she's like, do you love me? He was like, I love you. From the moment I saw you go over I was just like, bro, the tears started coming. I thought that was the most beautiful scene ever. And then the music, it made me have so much respect for Queen Charlotte, because we always see her as stoic Queen Charlotte, and you have glimpses of her emotions when the king is around in the Bridgerton series, where he like comes in unannounced, or when she sat down with him and he was like calling her a bitch and like, oh, you killed her, what did you do with our child, and da da da. But to really see what she went through for this man and to stick by him, even though she had every reason to not want to or to do so, I gained so much respect for her. And I felt like we even saw like a softer, more humanly side of her as well too. Also, it was nice to see all of their children, all 13 of their children. Just crazy. They had 15 in real life. 2 of them unfortunately passed away. But they had 15 children. That is amazing, especially in that time period. And what I would love to see in the future, I would love to see them explore that more. Like what went wrong as far as her relationship with her children, because they're kind of like, you were never a mother. You were our queen, but you weren't our mother. And they showcased a lot of issues that she had with her kids. So I would love to see that if they do a second season, which I hope they do. And I think they probably will because the fans demand it. Yeah. And Golda, oh my God, the actress who plays older Queen Charlotte, she's brilliant. She is Queen Charlotte. Like, she just demands this presence, this queenly presence. And I love her witty, like, commentary, and the way she like talks and her mannerisms is, I love it. Her whole trying to get an heir, I think a lot of that had to do with her wanting to feel like they left some type of legacy here. And so I thought, in a way, it was beautiful to see that moment come to fruition with her younger son, and she made 2 of her sons get married. And I thought they had a really touching moment when he came to her and told her that they were pregnant, and that child actually grows up to be Queen Victoria, which is really cool. And I thought another beautiful moment was between her and the other son that she made get married, when he was like, I'm afraid. And she had like this really nurturing and motherly moment with him that I thought was beautiful. So yeah, it was nice to see that side of Queen Charlotte. Another scene, I'm gonna revert back, but another scene I loved, her and King George's marriage scene. Like, it was no words barely in that scene, but the music and just their chemistry and how he looks so in love with her. Like, you can literally feel the love in that scene. I thought it was just so beautiful. Doctor pissed me off. I was mad that it took so long for them to get him the hell up out of there. And I thought it was so heartbreaking to see in that episode where they show like what happened those days where he wasn't in Buckingham Palace, or Buckingham House, and to see what he was going through to get better for her, because he was gone at that point. He was in love, you know. So he was just like, I want to get better for her. And it's sad that he submitted himself to that type of torture, and it really made things worse, you know. And I think that sick doctor got a kick out of torturing the king. I think that made him feel powerful. Like, I'm torturing this king, I'm calling him boy, and I'm doing all this stuff. Like, I think he got some sick pleasure from that. I'm like, bruh, why is no one doing anything? Like, Reynolds is getting kicked out of the damn basement room. I would have ran and got the guards, like, bro. And I love the line where she was like, I want him to be happy. If he needs to be mad, let him be mad, but I want him to be happy. That's all I care about. That right there, I was like, girl, I know that's right. Period. The last scene also made me tear up when older Charlotte goes to see older King George and to tell him the news about their son, I think Edward, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, forgive me, is having a baby. And she's like, our line will live on, and da-da-da-da. I loved how they showed her first go in, and George is in his own world. He's writing on the wall, scribbling and stuff. And the way she's able to bring him back is she goes under the bed, and then she's like, hide from the heavens with me. Something that they did previously when they were younger. He went under the bed because he was supposed to address Parliament, and he couldn't do it. He was having an episode, or about to have one. He couldn't do it. So she got under the bed with him, and she was able to calm him down. So when she did it this time, it brought him back, and he was like, Charlotte. And he remembered her, and then that's when she said, our line will live on. He's like, our line. And he's like, thank you. And he was like, you did not go over the wall. And she's like crying, and she's like, no, George, I didn't go over the wall. And I thought that was so cute, because they show, like, as they're looking at each other from each viewpoint, Charlotte's looking at younger George, and then you have older George looking at younger Charlotte. It was just so beautifully done. And I thought it was such a beautiful moment to show that they still have this beautiful love for each other. And even their kiss was just as passionate as it was when they were young. And I always look for stuff like that. I need the chemistry and the passion to be just as intense. And it was. It was very beautiful. But overall, I think it was very bittersweet. It's a beautiful, beautiful, bittersweet love story. And, you know, not in a way that anyone dies, but it's just sad because of his mental illness, and, you know, her having to essentially rule England, knowing, you know, her husband is in this state. And I think that's a lot of pressure for anyone, you know, regardless if the roles were reversed. But I think that they handled that amazingly. So yeah, kudos to everyone who worked on Queen Charlotte. The costumes were beautiful. The casting was chef's kiss. The writing was amazing. My only gripe is that I wish it was longer. You know, 6 episodes just was not enough. But it was a limited series, and it wasn't meant to be Bridgerton seasons 1 and 2. It was meant to just be a Bridgerton story, as it is. But I'm hoping, with the outcry of fans and people saying how amazing it is and how they wished it was more and how they should do another season, I hope that they listen to us and they do it, which I feel like they will. I feel like, why wouldn't they? I know that Shonda said they wrote it for it to be like a one and done, but to never say never. So I'm hoping that they come up with something that feels natural and it doesn't feel forced. And if it works, if it's great, I am here for it. So yeah, if you are a fan of Bridgerton, even if you are not a fan, my mother and sister actually watched the show. Me and my other baby sister, we have been watching Bridgerton since it first came out, so we were already fans and we were excited about the show. But my mother and my other sister haven't watched previous seasons of Bridgerton, so they just started watching. They jumped into the Queen Charlotte and they loved it. You don't necessarily need to watch the first 2 seasons of Bridgerton unless you really want to understand the older versions of the characters before you dive into the show. Is not necessary. But I will say this, if you haven't been pressed to see Bridgerton seasons 1 or 2, you may feel pressed to see it after seeing Queen Charlotte. Because my mom now is talking about she wants to go see Kate Anthony, which is Kate and Anthony Bridgerton, their love story. So yeah, watch this show. It's amazing. You will not regret it. Thank you, Blursters, for watching. I know this is not the typical nerd show or movie or topic, but at the end of the day, we are TV and film critics and lovers, and I thought this would be dope for all my Blursters who are Bridgerton fans as well too. So thank you guys for listening. If you haven't seen Queen Charlotte, go see it now. Thank you for tuning in to Blurred Buster Podcast, the mightiest, nerdiest podcast show in all the land. And I will catch you guys on the next mini review. Peace.